I knew something was wrong the moment I pulled into my mother's driveway. The house was too quiet. It wasn't the usual buzz of a birthday party. No balloons on the mailbox, no cake smell wafting through the air. Just the sound of my tires crunching against gravel and the echo of a forced celebration that had nothing to do with joy. It was my daughter Sophie's 7th birthday, and she was already inside without me. I had stepped away to grab her favorite cupcakes from a bakery 2 towns over, one she loved because they piped cartoon animals in frosting and gave her a sticker for every smile. I even asked them to write her name on the box in purple. She loved purple. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. It was supposed to be a small gathering, just family, low stress. My mom insisted on hosting. "You work too hard," she said. "Let me do something for once." I should have said no, but I wanted to believe she meant it, that maybe after all these years of backhanded compliments and constructive digs, she was finally ready to show up for her granddaughter with kindness instead of sarcasm. When I opened the front door, laughter hit me like a slap. Not warm laughter. Mocking, cruel, mean-spirited. I froze in the hallway. My hands tightened around the cupcake box, my ears strained. "She even crawled for it," someone giggled. "Fits her perfectly," another said. "What a good little puppy." Then I heard Sophie. Not laughing, not crying either. Just quiet. I walked into the living room. My heart shattered. There she was, kneeling on the carpet in her birthday dress, a cheap plastic dog collar fastened tight around her neck. Her cheeks were flushed with embarrassment. Her eyes avoided mine. She held a squeaky toy in her hand. My mother, my own mother, was sitting on the couch, drink in hand, beaming with pride. "Well, look who's back," she said cheerfully. "We had a little fun while you were gone." I couldn't move. "What is on her neck?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Oh, don't be dramatic." She rolled her eyes. "It's just a joke. Sophie was pretending to be a puppy earlier, and I thought, why not play along?" "You put a collar on her?" I whispered. "She acts like a dog anyway," my mom chuckled, sipping wine. "She was crawling and everything. The kids thought it was hilarious, didn't you, Sophie?" Sophie looked down. I turned to my sister-in-law, who was filming on her phone. She smiled unfazed. "She's gonna laugh about it when she's older. Come on, don't ruin the mood." My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped the cupcakes. Sophie reached out with one finger to touch my leg. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. She was humiliated. I kneeled down and unbuckled the collar with shaking hands. My mom scoffed behind me. "God, you're so sensitive. She was fine until you walked in and made it awkward." I turned to face her. "She's 7, I said, barely breathing. "You put a collar on a child." "You act like I beat her," she snapped. "She liked it." Sophie wrapped her arms around my neck. She was trembling now. "I didn't like it, Mommy," she whispered so softly only I could hear. And that was the moment something inside me snapped. Not in rage, not in tears, but in resolve. I stood up slowly, looked around at the living room full of people, my brother, my cousin, their smug wives, the neighbor lady who always gossiped about everyone else's parenting while sipping wine like it was communion. "Get out," I said. They laughed. I said, "Get out." "You're not the one hosting, dear," my mom said smugly. "This is my house." I stared at her. "Exactly," I said. "This is your house, and that's why I'll never bring her back here." She waved a hand, dismissive. "You'll get over it. You always do." Sophie clutched my leg tighter. I didn't argue. I just grabbed her hand and the box of cupcakes and walked out. She didn't ask why we left. She didn't cry. She just looked up at me and asked, "Mommy, can I still have my purple cupcake?" We sat in the car and ate them both. No candles, no song, just silence. But she smiled for the first time that day. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the way she looked on the carpet, collar tight, cheeks pink with shame. I kept hearing my mom's voice. She acts like a dog anyway. I couldn't stop picturing the people in the room laughing, not stopping it, not even hesitating. And that's when I knew. I wasn't going to scream at them. I wasn't going to post a video or file a lawsuit or start some viral campaign. I was going to make her crawl. Not physically. Emotionally. I was going to let her know what it feels like to beg for dignity. And I'd make sure the whole family saw it. But first, I needed to disappear. I didn't speak to my mother for 4 months. Not a call, not a text, not a photo of Sophie. Nothing. She didn't even try to apologize. She sent one smug message the day after the party. "Hope you've calmed down. Let's not hold a grudge over something so small." I blocked her. But she didn't need to text because I knew how she worked. I knew it wouldn't stop there. Instead, she turned to the rest of the family, her favorite audience. Suddenly, my aunts were calling. Cousins I hadn't heard from in years started checking in. Even my older brother messaged me a sarcastic, "Hey stranger, everything okay?" She was painting me as the problem, again. It wasn't new. Ever since I was a kid, I'd been the sensitive one, the moody one, the difficult daughter who couldn't take a joke. Paige, my perfect golden older sister who could do no wrong, was always the example. Even after she moved out, she remained the gold standard. And me? I was the one who always made things weird. But I didn't care what they thought anymore, because Sophie had started doing something strange. Every time we visited someone else's home, a friend, a neighbor, she hesitated before stepping inside. Her hand would tighten around mine, and she'd whisper, "Are they gonna make me bark?" I never told anyone that, not even my closest friend, because the shame on her face cut deeper than anything my mother ever said. So I made a plan. Not for revenge in the way they'd expect, but for a correction. I started small. I pulled Sophie out of every family group chat my mom had sneakily added her to. I deleted the tablet apps that showed her pictures from relatives she barely remembered. I enrolled her in a creative arts program that celebrated kids for being loud, wild, and free. And I told her the truth. Age-appropriate, but honest. "What Grandma did," I said gently, "was not funny, and you didn't do anything wrong." She nodded. She didn't speak. But she started drawing again, without hiding the paper. Meanwhile, I got to work behind the scenes. My mother had been planning her annual spring family tea, a big, fake gathering where she could show off how perfect her life was. She'd hosted it every year since I was a teenager. Matching tablecloths, catered food, smug speeches about what family really means. This year, she sent out digital invites, classy cursive, delicate roses, even added dress code, modest florals. She made the mistake of emailing it from her business account. See, my mother ran a home decor shop, online storefront, seasonal pop-ups, and one very fragile image of being the gracious matriarch behind it all. And I knew something she didn't. One of her newest partnerships was with a popular kids' party brand. They had a strict no-tolerance policy on anything that mocked or humiliated children, especially if it involved footage. And guess what her darling sister-in-law had done? She'd posted a little clip after Sophie's birthday. Just a 5-second story on her private page, but I had saved it. In it, Sophie knelt on the floor, and someone off camera squealed, "Look at her crawl! Grandma gave her a collar!" Laughter erupted. Then the camera panned to my mom holding up a wine glass and saying, "Some kids act like royalty, some act like pets." I never responded when my cousin sent me that story weeks ago, but I kept the screen recording. So, the night before her fancy family tea, I sent it. To her inbox, to her sponsor, to the partnership contact I found through her site's FAQ email. No commentary, just the clip, the date, and the subject line. This is how she treats children she claims to love. I didn't attend the party. But I heard from my cousin's wife that it was a disaster. 2 sponsors pulled out before noon. One vendor refused to set up because of unresolved issues involving child safety complaints. And my mother? She panicked. For the first time in her life, she wasn't performing. She was spiraling. By that evening, she was calling me from 3 different numbers. One message said, "I don't know what you think you're doing, but you're destroying my career." Another, "People make jokes at parties. That doesn't mean they hate their family." And finally, a trembling voice recording, "Please, please, just talk to me. This has gone too far." I played that one twice, not out of sympathy, but because of the way her voice broke on the word, please. She finally sounded how she made Sophie feel, small, desperate, humiliated. She sounded like she was crawling, just like Sophie did in that living room. And I wasn't done yet. She kept calling for 3 more days. Blocked numbers, fake numbers, even a message from my aunt. "Your mother is devastated. She hasn't left her room. Happy now?" Was I happy? Not exactly, but I was calm. Calmer than I'd been in years. Because for the first time, I didn't feel like the child begging for scraps of kindness. I felt like a mother protecting her child with everything she had. I didn't answer her messages, not yet. Instead, I waited. I waited until I knew she'd be at her store. Thursday mornings were her photo shoot days. That's when she staged fake family gatherings to post online. Mugs labeled Best Grandma, pastel bunting, little fake grandkid photos she'd bought from a stock image site. That day I walked in. Not dramatic, not angry, just present. She was mid-pose, holding a tray of fake muffins in her curated, rustic kitchen nook. When she saw me, her smile cracked like glass. "Samantha," she said cautiously. Look, I didn't know you were coming." I glanced around. "Looks cozy." She set down the tray. Her assistant stepped back awkwardly, sensing the tension. "I've been trying to call you," she said. "This whole thing's gotten out of hand." "No," I said simply. "It's finally in hand. Mine." She frowned. "You sabotaged me. You took that moment." "That moment was your idea of a joke," I said flatly. "One you told at my daughter's expense, in front of people with a camera rolling." She folded her arms. "You always blow things out of proportion. I didn't mean to hurt her." "You didn't care if you did," I replied. "That's worse." "I'm your mother," she snapped. "You owe me some respect." I smiled. And that's when I handed her the envelope. "What's this?" she said. "A cease and desist," I said. "From me, on behalf of Sophie. If your brand uses any of her name, image, or likeness in future marketing or content, you'll face legal consequences." Her face turned red. She's never... "You've mentioned her before," I cut her off. "On your blog, in your captions, in that story post your sister-in-law uploaded, with her name on the cake in the background. That's enough. She's a minor, and I'm her legal guardian." She shook her head. "You're out of your mind." "No," I said. "I'm finally sane." And then I leaned in, just close enough so only she could hear me. "You made my daughter crawl on her birthday. You gave her a collar. You laughed. And now you want to pretend it was just a slip-up." She opened her mouth but couldn't speak. "You told her she acted like a dog," I whispered. "So now you'll crawl." I turned and walked out, but not before pausing in the doorway. "Oh, and just so you know, I sent that clip to your new church group too. I figured they'd want to know how you treat your own flesh and blood before they name you Volunteer of the Month again." Her legs buckled slightly. She caught herself on the counter. I didn't stay to see if she cried, because I didn't need to. The crawling had already begun, but it wasn't physical. That would have been too easy. It was emotional, reputational, crawling through shame, guilt, and social fallout with no one to blame but herself. Weeks later, I heard through the grapevine that she'd taken a break from the business, that her sponsor page was temporarily down for restructuring, that she'd started seeing a therapist not for healing but for damage control. Sophie never asked about her again, and I never offered. Instead, on her next birthday, we went to the beach. Just the two of us. She wore a crown, not because anyone told her to, but because she wanted to feel royal. She dug holes in the sand, chased seagulls, and laughed until she hiccuped. And as the sun dipped below the waves, she turned to me and said, "Mommy, that was my best birthday ever." That was the moment I knew. Revenge didn't need a headline. It just needed a daughter who never had to crawl again. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.